out for coffee, but I was going to use the bathroom and comb my hair, and he stepped outside of my apartment to wait. And when I went out, he wasn't there, and I looked outside, and I kind of looked around, and I waited. And he came out of my apartment manager's place, and he had knocked on the door and asked to use the phone, just a stranger, And he said he didn't act like he liked it too much, but I started talking Arabic to him, and then he got nicer. And that's how I found out he was Egyptian. But I thought that was strange, just to knock on somebody's door and ask to use their phone.
Yeah, that is strange.
He didn't have a phone at home, and I didn't have one, but he made good money. He was a teacher at the university, so he could spend a quarter on the phone.
He was a teacher in your Shakespeare class. He was a bibliophile. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, tell me about the beer bus that you went to. At the shelter.
Mensa?
Mensa, yes.
Well, I went with the secretary. I called her from the bulletin. Oh, they have a very cute little bulletin. It has an armadillo on the front, and it's humorous. And I liked it a lot better than the East Texas one. They told me East Texas didn't have many members. But there were about 6 men there, and then some people came and went. And there was her and me, and then a teacher at the university, a teaching assistant, just walked over and joined us, wanted to know what it was with that owl on the table. And we gave her a ride home when we left. And there was a polka band. And they were sitting at a table, but they'd stand up and play their instruments, play pa music.
Tell me about the criticism class. What were some of the things that you studied in it?
We were going to read Henderson, is that Saul Bellows' novel?
Yes.
And I read a book called The King and the Corpse on mythology, which fitted in with some things in Henderson, which surprised me. And we read poetry, and we read a couple of short stories, and we discussed them in class. They told me there was another criticism class which read mostly criticism, but this guy concentrated on the works themselves, the artworks, and then we discussed them.
Okay, what happened in your creative writing class?
Well, everybody would make copies of their story and give one to everybody, and then the students would discuss them in class, and the teacher wouldn't say anything. The others would criticize your story, and then the teacher would write comments on the back and give it back to you. But of course, some days we didn't do that, and he would lecture most of the time. But we called him by his first name. And most of the teachers call the students by their first name now. It wasn't that way when I was there before. They called even freshmen Mr. and Miss. But he wore a T-shirt one day with Astros on it. He dressed very informally.
What was the synchronicity incident in which some guy knocked on your apartment door just after you had turned the light on?
That was Charles, and that happened twice.
It did?
It was strange.
Is he the one who didn't remember making the anti-Semitic remark? Or was that someone else?
He was the one who made it, but I don't remember his saying he didn't remember. I don't think we discussed it. He might have said that, and I might have forgotten.
Oh, you said he's interested in Jewish studies now.
Yeah, he's made talks at the Jewish Student Center.
Okay, this is from other things. You can add a few things to this. What do you remember about teaching Spanish in Laredo?
I taught French.
Teaching French down there. What were some things that
I remember mainly how courteous the students were, and they were good students. They all spoke Spanish, so they picked up French easily.
What was your apartment in Austin like?
It was not really an apartment, Jeff. It was more like a room. And I shared the bathroom with Therese. There was a toilet and a shower, and then I had a little lavatory in my room, and I had a stove and a refrigerator and a table. And I didn't have a cabinet. She had 2 cabinets, and I think she must have got one of mine when she moved in.
Other than the Mensa beer meeting and the centennial celebration with the cake and the Gandhi film, what were some other things that you did for entertainment or amusement when you were away from your classes?
I really really didn't do too much, Jeff. You know, I was out for 2 weeks in bed.
With your legs? What did the doctor finally diagnose that as?
Muscle strain.
But it wasn't arthritis? That's good. Okay. When you were working in New York, at the New York Times, what did your job consist of?
The Sunday resort section contained so many lines of advertising, and it was my job to keep track of the advertising that came in so we'd know how much space to allow for it. And that doesn't sound like it'd be a full-time job, but it kept me busy most of the week, tabulating that.
Okay. What type of apartment did you live in New York at the time?
I had a 6th-floor walk-up, and I had an absentee roommate, and it was a kind of shabby little place. I slept in the bedroom, and she slept in the living room, and there was a kitchen in between, and there was a bathroom, and the toilet, instead of, you know, when you flushed it, you pulled a chain that hung down from the top. You've probably never seen one like that.
What was it near? What were you located on?
I remember the address, 236 West 15th Street.
Were you close to the downtown?
I was 1 block from Greenwich Village. I was close to there.
What were some of the meetings and functions that you attended in New York at the time?
Oh, I went to all sorts of things there. I went to operas and musicals and political meetings and lectures.
Tell me about 1 or 2 of the political meetings.
I'll do that some other time.
Okay. What was your impression?
And I went to school at NYU.
What was your impression of the I Ching book that you used for a while?
I liked it a lot.
Okay. Did you feel like you got a good deal out of it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. What's one of the things that you like about the discussion group, and what's one of the things that you dislike about the discussion group?
I like the intellectual stimulation, and sometimes the egos bother me.
Okay. What are some dishes that you like to cook, in addition to the wonderful chicken spaghetti that you've made, and the quiche? What are some other things that you like to fix?
Well, those are about the only things I've done very much, you know. I haven't cooked for a long time, so I can't think of anything else offhand.
Okay. What have you done politically lately in terms of letter writing or reading or pamphlet receiving in the mail? Or
Why don't we talk about that when I see you?
You're getting tired of talking, aren't you?
No.
Oh, okay. You just want to go into detail on some other stuff. Okay, let me see if I can't get something light. All right, you mentioned one time that just like Kurt Vonnegut, during the 50s when you were educated in Kansas in elementary school, you got that pro-American, what was it? What exactly were they teaching? That
it was more liberal than what you get now.
Was it
more progressive?
Yeah, it was FDR's type.
Yeah.
That type of thing, a New Deal type, as opposed to Truman's isolationism or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
And pretty optimistic.
When you attended PJC in the mid-50s, you were a member of several clubs, and I think you helped edit The Galleon. What are some things you did there?
Let's see. Well, I remember being on the BAT staff. I wrote some things that were published in there.
That's what I was referring to.
And that was about the last writing I did for years.
What did you write for the BAT?
Oh, Thanksgiving prayer.
What type of classes were you attending at PJC at the time?
Well, I just took the usual 2-year course, biology, English.
Associate of Arts? Okay. When you worked for civil rights groups in the South during the mid-60s, where was it that you wrote the letter that was published in the newspaper in which you talked about how the cops would stop the guy who had
Demopolis, Alabama.
Demopolis, Alabama. How many tickets did they give him? Several, didn't they?
Yeah, several.
What other type of harassment?
They put him in jail.
What other types of harassment did your group receive?
Well, some things that upsets people to hear me talk about. They didn't like my doing that.
Okay, all right, I understand. Okay. When you were in Dallas a few months ago and you went to the library, did you? And Danny was going to meet you and he didn't make it? Or you did get to see Danny? What happened? I forgot.
I called Danny and talked to him on the phone.
Okay. What are some things did you write to Danny while you were in Austin?
Yeah, I got a couple of letters from him. I heard he'd been sick with the flu or something, had a sore throat.
Okay. Betty, your friends in Mississippi, how are they doing?
Fine.
That's great. What were some things you did while you were in Mississippi? I know you went jogging with her a couple times or watched her or something.
Yeah, and we went to some political meetings.
Uh-huh. You're having to be somewhat vague because of the present company.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. In the beginning, God created and Eva. Okay, what was your impression of Teilhard de Chardin and his theories about...
They impressed me a lot. I feel like I didn't understand them the first time I read them, but then I studied them later, and I'm sort of vague about it now, but at the time, well, I didn't believe everything he said, but I thought he had some interesting ideas.
He said that the material world would be fading out and that we were all going toward spiritual...
Yeah, sort of like that Arthur C. Clarke movie. What was it?
Childhood's End?
Yeah.
What about Thomas Merton? You once told me he was electrocuted, or that he died.
I think he was in some Oriental country accidentally.
What's the basic tone of the Catholic worker? What are they promoting? What type of belief system?
The thing I like about it is that there doesn't seem to be that strident ego that you find in a lot of magazines. There seems more humility.
Okay. In Zen and the Art of Motorcycle...
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.